Hey everybody, this is Frontstretch's Christopher DeHarde with Wyatt Watson over here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. You might know it better as Gateway. The Saturday night showdown in Madison, Illinois just ended. 260 laps around this 1.25 mile oval right near St. Louis, and Josef Newgarden picked up his 5th win at this track in a pretty hectic and very strategic race. Wyatt and I will get into that in a moment. First thing we just want to bring up is the fact that there was a late race restart that was a bit controversial, where Josef Newgarden restarted very, very late in the restart zone. The green light winked on, and he went basically as soon as the light went on, which was almost the head of the main straightaway. And then because of the stack up behind him, because a lot of people figured he would go a little bit sooner, Willpower went to the inside wall after Alexander Rossi ran into him. Rossi's car went airborne, so his car was literally off track. Might be a promo for his podcast, I don't know. And then Nolan Siegel hit Jack Harvey, turning Harvey into the wall, and Roman Grosjean had nowhere to go, actually hit Power's car as it was spinning. Wyatt, you had a chance to actually see everything take place from outside the media center. What did it look like from your perspective as you were in the paddock trying to see who you could speak to?
Well, I was looking at the replay, actually the live feed from NBC's cameras, as I was at the hauler waiting for David Malukas to come out after his crash with Will Power. That really set the tone for that late race strategy call from all those teams and that wild, chaotic finish at the end. But the pretty much the same thing you just said there, that Newgarden looked like he took off late. Will Power getting airborne.
Rossi got airborne.
Rossi got airborne. Correction there. Rossi
the cars
airborne.
The cars have a lot of white on them, to be fair. I did also tweet out that Power got airborne, but no, Alexander Rossi's car was the one that got airborne. The number 12 car maintained all 4 wheels on the ground, and of course Power flipped off Josef Newgarden, who his teammate was leading at the time. But continue.
Yeah, a lot of controversy within the Penske camp the last 2 races. Remember, not Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin and Will Power at Toronto. Yep. But anyway, as I was sitting there at the care center, Will Power, who was in a fit of rage after that whole deal, came by and had some words for Malukas. He asked Malukas, what were you doing there on that contact?
To go ahead and put that in perspective. So that restart happened because there was a caution for contact between Will Power and David Malukas. The pair were fighting for 4th place, which would have been the effective lead of the race, because you still had McLaughlin and Newgarden up front. I think Colton Herta was also in 3rd place at the time. He was somewhere in there
saving fuel.
Yeah, there were some cars in front who were on the lead lap, and Power was actually charging, because there was another yellow earlier for Newgarden who actually spun coming off of turn number 2. Anyway, so let's put this all in perspective. Newgarden spun coming off of turn number 2 with about 60-something laps to go. Several drivers pitted underneath that yellow, because that would mean that they could make it to the end of the race if they saved a lot of fuel. Power and Malukas did not pit, for a couple of reasons. One of them being that several drivers actually had made pit stops before the yellow, and they were able to trap those cars a lap down for the rest of the race. So what they did was Malukas and Power, well, Power was leading, Malukas was second. They basically just ran away from the rest of the field. Herta and everybody else had to fuel save tremendously to make the end of the race. Power and Malukas were able to actually keep going, and they pulled out enough of a gap to where they pitted, and then they were able to keep going and charging again. They were stuck behind the lap car of Kyle Kirkwood, and unfortunately Malukas, Power kind of squeezed him down towards the inside of turn number 1, and there was a little bit of contact. Malukas spun, Power kept going, and that led to the caution that resulted in the restart that got everybody upset, putting it bluntly. It was a mix of a couple of different strategies. Several cars pitted underneath an early yellow for Ed Carpenter and Catherine Legg's contact over in turn 1, which Catherine's race ended at that time. Ed went back to the pits. The crew was one of the guys on the team was speaking on the radio. I think it was a chief strategist. Was very exasperated, telling the guys to hurry up and get going. Unfortunately, Carpenter lost several laps. He had to replace a rear wing. I think he had another couple of things he had to replace as well. But there was another incident early in the race that we need to talk about too. Rinus VK, he was not doing too well early on in the race. He had a bit of a issue, got loose off of turn number 2. Connor Daly was right behind him, running I think in 11th place or 12th place at the time. Daly checked up, Kirkwood checked up. Right behind them was Romain Grosjean, who, when you're sitting that low in the car, you can't see 3 cars in front of you. You can only see what's immediately in front of you. And then all of a sudden they check up. Kirkwood gets hit by Grosjean. Kirkwood then hits Daly, who spins Daly around. Daly loses 2 laps. Kirkwood loses like 34, 35 or so. Connor Daly finished 13th, which never say die, never stop fighting. Kirkwood finished, I think, 22nd. He gained as many spots as he could after going back out there. But it was just not a good day for the Nikos Hollinger racing team in terms of having wrecks early, but you never say die, you never stop fighting, and Connor Daly got 13th. But really, for me, I thought was the coolest result of the race. Nolan Siegel got a top 10 finish, his first IndyCar top 10 finish, after he started the year off in a partial season with Dale Coyne Racing, failed to make the Indy 500, now gets a top 10 finish on the Oval. Pretty impressive, don't you think?
Absolutely. He also led his first career laps here before incurring a speeding penalty that pushed his race behind. But the recovery drive was real for that team. Avoided all that mess. Was really close to it with Jack Harvey, like you mentioned earlier. Another really big result today. Stingray Robb got his first top 10 finish. Talked to him after the race. Talked to him this whole race, especially regarding David Malukas' signing with AJ Foyt. Very big what ifs going on that side of on that garage and that team. So getting that top 10 for him, he was taking pictures with his whole family. Very happy and very nice result for that 41 team.
And what's even more important for the number 41 team is the Leader Circle program. So IndyCar, for those that don't know, has a purse sharing program with the top 22 entrants in owner points, limited to only 3 cars per team owner. Chip Ganassi Racing has 5 cars that they run. Only the top 3 are eligible for the Leader Circle program, which is about please excuse the cough, about $1 million or so in prize money in lieu of a traditional purse per race that teams would normally get for winning. So because Chip Ganassi Racing has all 5 of their cars in the top 22, the cutoff is actually 24th place in the entrant points, and AJ Foyt Racing's number 41 entry is currently holding on to 24th place. Well, they were before the race started. I haven't seen the updated entrant points after the race. But given that Connor Daly finished behind Stingray Robb, the number 78 Nikos Hollinger Racing entry lost a little bit of ground. However, because the number 78 machine finished ahead of both Dale Coyne cars, there was a bit of an additional buffer to the cars in 26th and 27th on the entrant point list before the race started. We'll talk on Indy NXT real quick here, just briefly, because they ran right before the IndyCar Series. Louis Foster's got this championship almost entirely wrapped up. He won. Kyle Collette and Jamie Chadwick unfortunately had a collision on the front stretch. So as long as Foster doesn't really blow it in the last couple of race weekends, he will win the Indy NXT Championship and will more than likely be in IndyCar next year. We always say more than likely because if you remember Linus Lundqvist, he won the 2022 Indy NXT Championship, and he didn't drive in an IndyCar race until Nashville in August of 2023. So that just wasn't all that good, but hopefully we can see Foster in a car for the full IndyCar season next year.
Speaking of Linus Lundqvist, I believe that's a podium for him today too.
That is. How do we not mention? Well, given what happened late in the race, you cannot honestly fault us for not mentioning Linus Lundqvist. He was battling hard with Colton Herta late in the race. He got 3rd place from Colton. Colton kind of moved down after Linus had started to make his pass late on the backstretch there, or late in the race on the backstretch there. And unfortunately for Colton, IndyCar decided to assess him a end of the lead lap penalty for blocking, which IndyCar defines as moving aft in reaction to the driver behind you. The good news for Colton is that that penalty was only one position because there were only 5 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race. So instead of finishing 4th in front of Alex Palou, he finished 5th right behind Palou. And
that right there is the bad news.
Yeah.
You lose the position to Palou. Looking at the points, Colton Herta is 59 points behind Alex Palou.
that's a full race weekend.
Yeah, and I talked to Alex Palou, I talked to Chip Ganassi. They're going to Portland where, remember, last year they had the championship locked up by Portland. So looking at Alex Palou, probably going to be the favorite going into that weekend. It's going to be more than one race that the field's going to have to make up on Alex Palou if they're wanting to get into this championship fight. So they're hoping for some more trouble like they saw in the first Iowa race with Alex Palou going into one of these other 3 Volvos. But right now, Alex Palou and that number 10 team have been doing their job and getting good, consistent, solid top 5 finishes and staying out of that trouble, which, by the way, went right down the bottom as Will Power was spinning, or Alex Zenderossi. That whole wreck, they just swooped down the bottom and got a top 5, 4th place finish today for them.
So Palou in 2023, when he won at Portland in the penultimate race of the championship, that clinched the championship for Palou, which was the first time that an IndyCar championship has been clinched before the IndyCar season ended, since I think I want to say like 2005 or something like that. But I digress. Alex Palou has won twice at Portland in 2021 and 2023. Oh yeah, those are the years that he won the championship. So if Palou wins in Portland, you can almost wrap up the season right there. There are 3 more races after Portland. You have 2 races at Milwaukee and a doubleheader weekend on Labor Day weekend. And then you have the season finale at Nashville Super Speedway. Yeah, some guy just drove by in a golf cart, so we were just letting him drive by there. That being said, it's starting to get late out here. I've got a 4-hour drive back to Indianapolis, so we're going to head on out of here. For Wyatt Watson, I'm Christopher Hardy. You can find us on Frontstretch.com. You can check out the YouTube channel, Frontstretch Open Wheel. You'll see a lot of cool video content from there for this weekend. And y'all, take it easy, treat each other nicely, do all the good stuff.
And be sure to catch the pit straight on Tuesday as well.
What's up? Michael Massey here, Frontstretch.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.